Hello and welcome back to ThoughtBot's AI in Focus, where we have been on a multi-week journey building a new product called ReadySetGo. I'm once again joined by Lewis, who a familiar face to all of you now, I'm sure.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
And we've been making great progress on ReadySetGo, our Rails-powered Rails app generator. Those of you who've been along the journey know that we started out creating sort of more of a proof of concept of the basic fundamentals of our AI app generator as a command line utility. On last week's stream, you saw that we started creating a Rails app to wrap all of that functionality, and we've made really good progress on that over the last week, and we're excited to dig in to it now and then work on something specific. Lewis, anything to add?
No. Do you want me to go through the changes from last week, or did you want to run those?
Why don't you talk through it while I bring up my screen?
Okay, cool. So in the last week, what we were working on during the stream was connecting the Ruby LLM generated chat functionality, which is just directly talking to an LLM, connecting that to our models so that we could begin the process of when we start a chat, it's not just to talk to an LLM, but to actually create a Rails project. So following on that, Chad and I went on a spree of migrating all the command line tools over. So we had started with just the generate new application tool, and now we're bringing in all the other tools that the LLM will bring to bear to generate an app, running Rails generators, migrations, reading files, writing files, etc. Then another big change during the week was we have a new app dashboard, which we'll get to see in just a little bit, where in terms of increasing visibility for us now as we're generating it, we want to see like the chat, the running application, any logs that are happening, and the git diff. And not all of those are fully populated yet, but we have a layout that I think is pretty fun and flexible.
Yeah, and let's actually create a new application now.
Yeah, let's do it.
and show that. What should we create today?
Let's see. How about a fizzy water? Maybe like, I don't know, recommendation.
Rating.
Sure.
Okay. What should we call it? Fizzy.
Fizzy. Let's call it fizzy.
Okay. A fizzy water rating and recommendation. A fizzy water community
There we go.
powered rating and recommendation site. Okay.
Fantastic.
I'm going to remove the banner. And as always, we are monitoring chat. If you've got any questions, comments along the way. Actually, you know what? I'll put the banner back up, and then I will just change the browser to be there. So this is the basic thing. We've got our chat over on the left-hand side. We've got, once the application starts to be generated, there'll be a preview of it over here. And then those logs that Lewis mentioned. And this is resizable so that you can make things fit the way that you want.
And I was really happy with this because also it remembers. So if you like, let's say, drag it to the upper left and reload the browser, it's saving it so that you don't have to keep positioning your windows exactly as you like them.
Awesome. So if we start a new chat, and then so we are creating. So we're currently, this is actually, as we do this, create, like we should give the description, like it shouldn't be necessary to say what we're doing again.
Right.
Note that in our backlog. Fizzy water community powered recommendation and rating site.
And also it's worth noting that in our migrations from the CLI to the Rails app, we haven't fully implemented the reviewers yet. So whatever it's doing now, it's going to be doing it without review.
Oh, I forgot that we hadn't done that yet.
Yeah. So we like migrated the classes, but we didn't do the last part of
Yeah.
the integration to have it use them and condition when it uses them and all that.
Okay. Yeah. So we're not fully getting the quality that we're expecting. Okay, cool. I'm gonna just change this to let's create busy.
Sounds good.
So right now, what you see is all of the output right here. But you can see it's reading a file, and now it's generating a new application. And so that's what it's doing now. If we over here, we can see the Rails log. There's a lot here, but it's basically streaming responses from the agent with action cable. So after it finished generating the new application with our base defaults from suspenders and all that stuff, now it's reading files in the application to get a lay of the land. And we can see that every tool call is being streamed back, which is what we ultimately envision being down in this logs panel instead.
And Chad, I'm curious. I know we don't have this fully broadcasting. If you refresh, will the Git status change right now? And it might not show anything if you just like, yeah, okay. It might be in a spot. Oh yeah.
Where'd our chat go?
I don't know, but no, I think that looks like a bug.
Well, thanks, Lewis. You just messed everything up.
Or actually, let's take a look because I'm really surprised by this one, but clearly something is broken there. If we went into the Rails console, we could take a look. Like we just reset our database, so there should only be one chat.
Yeah.
And so one, I want to see, did it get deassociated with this app? It did not. Okay.
Yeah, we're app one. It's there.
Okay. Oh, maybe what if chat messages aren't there?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm just confirming there's nothing being rendered here that we're just not seeing. Um,
Okay, so there's a ton.
in fact, I believe the agent is still working and creating a bunch of stuff, which is really funny. Um,
It's as if it's looking at the panel code where it's got app chats any. Can we run? I wonder if we don't have a correct setting for app.
well, what I would normally try to do is write a failing spec
Oh,
for this. Yeah,
I think maybe. Take a look at the apps controller.
yeah, that's where I am.
All right, let me switch back. Yeah, so is that first of all, in what we reloaded, do we still have a param? Do we have an ID in the URL that we're showing in the browser?
Yep, projects one,
Okay.
apps one. So what I was going to say was normally I would start by writing a failing spec, but we do have a system spec for this.
Okay.
Uh, so that spec opens a chat panel without leaving the dashboard. Visit the project path, project app path, and then seeing a link with the chat um, there. So let's run that spec, make
Okay.
sure it's passing.
And assuming it, I mean, it should be passing because our CI has
Mhm.
been testing all this stuff, but if somehow it doesn't, that would be great. What would you think of opening up where are we? In driver.rb, spec support driver, and turning off headless Chrome so we can also see that test running. And we might need to put like a debugger in it just to have it like freeze on the last pane, but I thought you're gonna do sleep 6. I'm like, oh, we gotta be fast.
So there's the link to the chat
Okay.
that we're not seeing in our running application.
Interesting. It had an extra parameter hanging off the end.
That's
AS
the
equals.
clearance backdoor.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
And if we click on it, we can
Yep.
see the chat. Yeah, interesting.
This is breaking my mind right now. All I can think of. Okay, here's another idea. Can you go to the console
Mm-hmm.
and find the Americas team, which is probably going to be teamed at last. And then will you do team.add you? So find your user record. Or I'm sorry, team.first, not team.last. All right, now find your user record.
You can email me.
Okay, cool. Now do a
Got some
team.add.
comments in the chat that we were it is not saving in the current session, but thanks for the tip. Okay, so user.
Now do team.add user.
Well, shouldn't I be? Yeah, so that's the. I think you're on the right track. That's the problem. Why was I able to get to this spot in the application itself?
Yeah, so like the way we have it right now, again for the viewers, is we're not explicitly doing permissions other than your organization has a view. Somewhere in your organization this project exists. So basically you could see anything in your organization, and the teams are supposed to be just like organizational, like sorting, like folders, if you want to think of it that way. But I'm wondering that my theory, just something to try, is that if we add you to the team, that something about that is why you're not seeing the chat. Because that was also a change I made recently where I changed the teams, but okay. Doesn't look like it fixed it.
No. Well, to answer your original question, you can see the Git status is updated.
Okay, cool. So, chat, I'm at a loss. We could interrupt it and restart. We could keep digging at it. But all I can think of is that app variable isn't set. I mean, you could also check it by removing the conditional in the view and just have it show us that it's null, maybe. You know, where we do like in the chat panel, partial to the left there. Yeah, like take out if app chats any. And then let's just see if it says that apps is nil. No.
You know what this is? I'm like looking for a missing equal sign somewhere here, like, but I don't see one.
Except we know that it, like when we looked at the system test, we know it works. Like we know it shows
right
past links. And the thing we did was refreshed it. And you've gone out and back in as well. Sure. Yeah. All right. There's last message question mark. Yeah, what is that?
This is a ternary. If the last message, oh, this is got to be where it is. So if the last message,
yeah,
is nil, basically is blank.
Yeah,
it's gonna do a new chat link.
We shouldn't have this at all. Like we should show all the messages and the new chat button.
Yeah. So so part of the issue is that this base code came from the Ruby LLM generator. So there's still some stuff hanging around that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we don't want the last message. And actually, I'm going to say that we want chat messages first.
Right. That makes sense. And the new chat button.
Oh yeah, did it? Well, it's there at the bottom
Oh,
there.
okay. Okay, cool. All right. So that also highlights that our message isn't being added to the chat somehow,
Hmm.
where we
Either
said
that
like
or
we
it's
want to create
it's
fit,
just lower down in the chat log.
but that's like its first response.
So
Anyway, we
let's
can,
pause for a sec. This is one of the
yeah.
reasons. So in our Rails guides, we say avoid ternary operators. And part of the reason why is what we just saw, which is they're really easy to overlook and not see that there's a conditional there. um, and so that was just a demonstration. It was intentional. No. Um, but that's a really good demonstration of why our guides actually say that. Okay, so
Also,
now
thank you.
we have. Oh, what were you saying?
I was just say thank you to all the suggestions happening uh in the thread there. Apologies to all that we've been like so focused on the bug. Sometimes it's hard to switch back to see that there's suggestions happening there. But in any case, we now have this. So okay, we're back to normal. I will make a note to add a system test for that
Yeah.
particular failure, or at least actually that one doesn't even need to be a system test. That's just a straight up request spec.
Okay. Well, it was working the whole time that we were doing things. Um, so where it's at now is it is running the specs, and it's a failure. So good. It's because the brand model doesn't exist. I need to create the model and migration to get a proper failure. So it continues to work. And we haven't. So the first thing we're going to work on now is creating some resiliency around the tools, because we notice when a tool fails, especially with an exception. Right now, that is being handled in a background job. The chat is happening in a background job, and it can the exception bubbles up, uh, which causes the job to be rerun again and again and again and again and again. So that's a problem, right?
Yep. And yeah, you see your message, like let's say you said, let's create an app called test. And then it fails because Rails won't create an app called test, and you just see your message over and over again. So yeah,
Mhm.
I like fixing that now. Um, do you want to stop this process? Uh, it does also look like it's kind of done also, which is interesting. Like nothing
No,
new is happening.
no, I think it's actually doing something, and this is one of the things that I think we need to improve. Is like it says it's doing something. A lot is happening in the background in terms of like thinking, and then doing things, and there's no thinking indicator. So that's something that I think we need eventually,
Yeah, that makes sense.
because
Otherwise,
otherwise it's
right?
not clear. Has the agent stopped or is it thinking?
Yeah. And
Um,
then also as we see, like we had talked about, like right now our logs were again like that's just a placeholder for a text log, but really it feels like these tool calls we talked about like we could move them down to that logs area. So our chat is a little more us and assistant talking, and the tool calls are down at the bottom.
okay, so I'm gonna kill this.
Okay.
Uh, so now the way that it's working actually, okay, cool. So we can actually, what we were doing basically is stopping Ooh, you know what? Do you see that?
I do, yeah.
So a bunch more stuff is in the log about what it was doing that we didn't see, that wasn't coming through. That's interesting. We saw the now that I see that we did see these chat response jobs coming back, but they weren't showing up.
Okay.
Um, okay, how do we want to approach this? I think your idea was to go into a tool and make it raise so we could demonstrate the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, first let's demonstrate it, then we can think about, can we mimic this in a test?
Right. Which tool do you think we should mess up?
Let's start at the beginning with the generate new application tool.
Okay. So this is the tool that generates a new Rails application, installs clearance, installs our styles roux. So we should just be able to put raise something went wrong. So if we go back here, we need to do a new application. Visi 2, a complete and total rewrite of Fizzy.
Yeah, I really thought Fizzy was gonna take off. I don't know where we went wrong. We probably
The
didn't do a design sprint.
driven Fizzy water rating and review site. Okay, so what we think we're going to see here is basically nothing, or we're actually going to see our message over and over again. Is that what's going to happen?
That's what I was finding in testing with
Mm-hmm.
not intentional errors, so yes, I'm
Right.
hoping that that happens here.
So you can see the exception just happened in the background there. There, it just tried to run the job again, and the exception happened again. And
And
we
there it
see
is.
our
Cool.
message there.
Nice.
So that's going to keep on happening basically as the back off interval of the jobs run. Okay, so I'm going to stop this.
Okay.
Now let's think about how we would write a test for this. So we could have a test that creates a tool on the fly that raises errors.
Sure. And then
But the
I had,
LLM is what's calling tools.
yeah, so okay, so we do have a stub LLM method that we introduced recently, and you can tell stub LLM to raise.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm wondering, because it doesn't have to be the job itself that fails. Like when I was experiencing it, I was getting like a Ruby LLM failure. Something was wrong with my request. So I'm kind of wondering, um, is that this one? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Give me a second. It wasn't this stub. I introduced this in a recent test.
Do you know which test it was?
Yeah, okay, look up a reviewer spec. And then there's a little helper there. Yeah, that one. There's a little helper at the bottom where as part of testing a reviewer, we're like, let's have it raise an error.
Mhm.
So anyway, this came to mind as like a pattern we could follow for we ask and then there's an error that comes back and then we would not want to see. I mean, if we want to go
Mhm.
deep into
Mhm.
this, we should have the job not the job fails and it doesn't rerun the job, or
Yeah.
maybe it no longer fails. Something is
Well, I actually so the job fails, um, but that failure should be put back out as the tool response for tools. See, if we're catching it at the job level, then the LLM doesn't see the failure.
right. This is tricky because it's like we had this working we had this working in the CLI, and so now we're trying to figure out how to bring it out here.
Um, but you're right. But maybe the solution is we can't solve it. Like we want the LLM to see the results of tools.
Right. So is then the first maybe to not go all the way deep, like all the way to like where we're experiencing it, but
Mhm.
to say for any tool call, if it raises, how do we want it to handle?
Mhm.
How do we want it to behave? And I think you said it. The LLM should know that the tool call failed.
Right.
So I think I know we have a top level tool class.
We do. Yeah.
And so what if do we have a corresponding tool spec for it? We could start
We
there.
do. Uh, or no, each tool currently has its own. Um,
Its own test.
yeah, they all descend from this.
Cool. Do you want to then should we create a new one? That
A
way
new
we'll know that
a
a new
new
test
tool spec.
yeah.
Okay. Let me create a branch. So, tool error handling. So spec. So it would create a tool spec.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then also probably I don't know if you committed your other changes for the fix to the panel, but you may want to stage or stash them.
You're right. Thanks for the reminder. Um, this is where you're saying, oh, you could be using Git Tower and we'd be done already.
Sorry, Chad, it just sank in. I was looking at the comment thread.
You know, I'm gonna commit. I'm gonna commit these just those changes.
Okay.
Um, so that we have them as a discrete commit on this branch. Um,
So looking at the last question, I'm not 100% certain I'm following, but with the background job, with the background job running the chat response, then it is then being through Turbo reposted back to the page so that we see the updates as they happen.
So, um,
I mean, is this essentially that it like rescues errors? Like I'm
yeah,
trying to
but
think about what are we.
um, so I believe I've just written a tool that we can use in this spec that when it's executed, it will raise errors.
Uh, okay, nice. All
I
right.
believe. um, returns the message. The okay. It turns the error when an exception happens in a tool.
Yes.
So the way that we error tool dot new, and then when we
While you're doing that, just to answer the last one.
yeah.
So we're using Postgres as our backing database, and I don't remember in the development environment. If I look at in our config cable YAML, we have the development adapter is Redis running off of localhost. So I don't believe we have I don't think we're using the solid tables.
We're not. No, we're currently using Redis, but that's something that as we go towards production, we may want to change to the solid
Sure.
stuff. Undefined method execute for class error tool.
Does tool need to
it's
if you go into the
actually
definition?
what were you going to say?
If you look at our fake class definition,
Mm-hmm.
nope. Okay, we're good.
So undefined method execute for error tool. Class error tool def execute.
And I am also looking over here.
I'll be happy when we get rid of the CLI. It looks like it needs, Eric says, it looks like it needs to call execute on the instance, not the class. Oh, yeah, I have a typo. This should have been tool. Thank you, Eric. Okay, so we raise standard error. We expected to return the string standard error, but now we're actually just getting an exception.
Cool.
So Um, it's dot dot dot, right?
For just like all the params?
Yeah.
I do believe so.
And then I believe that if you are calling super and passing all the params, you don't need to pass the params.
Agreed.
So let's just run that and make sure it still fails in the same way and works. Yeah, cool. So now we can rescue everything. So what I have is it class underscore name? We're still
What
getting
is
the
it saying?
exception. It's not being rescued.
So my question to you from an inheritance perspective here, if
Mhm.
our tool is defining execute, does our tool need to call super? Or right, like I don't think we're coming into this method.
Yeah, you're right.
And so this is tricky because like tool or execute isn't
Yeah,
execute
let's look
isn't a
at a
required
real
thing. It's
tool. Um,
right, like we define execute, but that's like our thing. Um it's not like I don't think it's a is it a tool method? Hang on, let me look at the Ruby LLM specs. Because do we call super when we call?
so so we have this concept in Rails, the rescue from, which is something that does a similar pattern to what we're trying to do here.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, we got this turned around, or I got it turned around in my head in terms of the inheritance and what that was going to give us. So that's funny. Haha.
Right. So we could. Hmm. I had an idea, but I don't like it anymore. So I'm just going to keep thinking. So will that rescue from though do what we want it to
Any
do?
class is what I was wondering. I think, well, there's a handlers that take one argument will be called with the exception, so the exception can be inspected. Handlers are inherited. We can give it a try. I'll give it a try.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. And then ename class or e-class name.
Okay, undefined method rescue from. So to be fair, I don't know that this is usable from. It seems like it should be usable from anywhere. Yeah, it's written as a concern. So we should be able to include it.
All right, I'm gonna do a little digging as well.
I don't think it needs to be extend. Oh, I think it's just include active support rescuable.
Ah, okay.
Um,
Did it? Sorry, I didn't see. Did you run it again? And it.
I ran it again. It's not clear to me whether. Yeah, so it's not hitting the handler. Same, so it's the same as if that wasn't
Can
even there.
you try if you take off the param, the e param?
Mhm.
Does it get there? And here if we just do a puts or something.
Thanks, Rodrigo. I got it before the delay. So that it's nothing. It didn't put anything.
Okay. And is standard error what we're raising? We could also try a more specific error. We could also, oh, never mind. We're definitely going through there.
Well, I didn't know if this rescuable would work. Like I didn't know for sure whether it would work or not. So we may just be finding that it doesn't work. But it seems
Sure.
like it should.
I mean, they do say in the text there that they recommend against it, but you should be able to rescue from standard error. Um, Also, if you want, Chad, if I could paste in,
Mhm.
I don't know that this has anything. Sorry that. I don't know if there's anything else here. I mean, it looks to me like everything is fine.
Yeah. The only what has me concerned is every single example of this happens in controllers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just try changing it to this, and I don't think it's gonna work, but yeah.
Oh, also we have handle arrow now on 8.
Yeah, but it would be throwing an error about it not being found. Let's just double check. We're definitely descending from tool.
So as a check, we could also put the handling in here just to see if it happens.
Oh, you mean this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it also didn't work there.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's too bad.
I was really excited about that.
Well, if we wanted, we could. I mean, we can. Sometimes it's hard on the stream, but let's see whether there's any. How to use Rails Rescue from outside the controller.
It sure looks like that's exactly what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to try that in a Ruby script and just see does it work? Or we could take a totally different path and but I'm like, what are we missing?
Oh, are we missing that this is governed by this Rails setting? Around message raising messages? Because when you're running in development or whatever, you want to see the exceptions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Isn't that just for like for when a controller like a view isn't there kind of thing?
Yeah, maybe. I was grasping.
No, it's a good.
Um, so Rodrigo is suggesting uh, something like this: rescue from runtime error. So that didn't change the behavior at all. Okay.
Can we I
Uninitialized
haven't I
test. That's what I was hoping to see. Okay. Go ahead.
can we try this? So let me think where this would go. Hang on, I'm looking up something. All right, this is older. I want 812. Let me see if this is still a thing. Hmm. I'm trying to see if I have if this is still a Rails thing. It's a rescue with handler is the thing I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's in rescuable.
Okay, so if we look at that one, I'm wondering if we need to call that because we're not in a controller. And I'm trying to figure out where we would potentially call it from. Here's a a very old blog post that I'm wondering if it provides a pattern. Is it okay if I paste that in here?
Yeah. Go ahead.
And then there's an example a little further down. This is what I was looking at, which feels similar to what we're working on.
Mm-hmm.
So one, we could just try this pattern to see if it works.
But
But then it doesn't help us in that.
it doesn't help us, right? Because we
we're
would need
trying
to
to do
do
it.
this in every tool.
Yeah. Okay, so actually then what about this? If we define the rescue with handler and we don't define the known error in the parent tool class, that would at least force every tool to include that method
Mm-hmm.
to define it there, at least to say, here's what I want to do with errors.
Right. Another way to do it would be to, on our tools, we don't call execute directly, but we call like a call method.
Yeah, and then in the parent class, that
Mm-hmm.
defines execute, and execute calls our call method.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, I like that a lot.
Okay. Okay, and then what we're saying here is instead of super, it's going to be call. And then what we want is def call raise. Yeah.
Yep. Nice.
So now our spec doesn't change.
Yep.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's exactly the same.
So we still have though execute Oh no, don't we? Wait, because our what does our error tool define?
Our error tool defines. Oh,
So
okay.
so that needs to be, yeah.
I, I was like, no matter what we do, it's just getting the same result over and over again. Okay. Type error, class or module required to be a standard error. That's not what I wanted to equal standard error. Okay, so we expected the string standard error. We got nil, and that is because I intentionally left handle error blank so that we wouldn't
Nice.
get a pass there.
Okay.
So now e dot class name.
Yay. Whew. All right, let's look at what we have and maybe commit.
Yeah, so we overrode the execute and said call. So in order for this to work, we would need to change our execute method on all our tools to be call instead.
And is there any way we can enforce that through our tests, or at least check for that? And I guess the secondary question would be, is that necessary? But like the temptation would be, you go to Ruby LLM, you read the documentation, it says you need three things: a description, params, and an execute. And so you're like, cool, the docs say do this, so I'm going to do that. And then you miss out on what we've just implemented.
Right.
And I can't think of a way. I mean, we could write tests for all of them. I mean, I guess since all our tests would invoke call, you would at least see that pattern when writing tests.
They would invoke execute though.
Would they? Oh, you're right. Well,
We don't need to have them, but the most correct thing would be to have them invoke execute.
I'm running out of ideas.
Yeah. I want to take a Rodrigo just pasted a gist.
Uh,
Maybe you should look at that off the
sure,
stream to
sure.
make sure.
I literally cannot. My options are show. If I like go to hover over it, I can't actually highlight into it. Like I can't.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we can't we can't get we can't copy and paste out of our stream client. Sorry, Rodrigo. What I was gonna say, Lewis, was are we thinking about the inheritance the right way?
Mm,
Um, and I wanted to look at the implementation of Ruby LLM tool.
sure.
So
Uh,
it's called call. And
they
wow.
have implemented.
Okay. So that's a problem for us. We wouldn't be able to call ours call because we're essentially overriding.
Yeah. Do they use run?
It doesn't use run.
Okay. So let's talk out what we're trying to achieve
Mhm.
here. At the top level, we want every tool call. We want every tool
Yeah.
call to be rescued. Like that's the main thing we're trying to
So
do.
now that we know that it has a call method, could we override call super and rescue?
Sure.
So if this was call
Yep.
and this is super,
Yep. Ooh, I like this.
so now we're calling execute. This would be execute
Okay.
because we know that actually, oh,
No, this is good.
it's Ruby LLM that calls call.
Right.
So by calling execute there, we're not going to go through, we're going to be calling this execute. But if we called this call, oh, now we're getting argument error because
Call.
we don't set up any.
Yeah. Where does it call?
Um, so the LLM looks at the messages coming back from, so we tell the LLM what tools we have available. The way it calls them back is, uh, so Ruby LLM is looking at the messages saying, are there any tool calls? It parses the JSON of the tool calls into arguments and then calls call. So I think we're on the right. I feel like we're on the right track here. The argument error isn't coming from here.
Hmm.
It would be nice to know where it's coming from. So it's probably, let's
Yeah, I'm doing a little digging too.
so I'm changing it to do the message so we can see the full wrong number of arguments. Given 0, expected 1. Yeah, so that passed. So we were just calling call, and call
Right.
requires at least one argument. So I passed in the empty hash. I should have spotted that, but see, it's args, so it requires at least one argument.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, um, so that means that we would need to do what we were sort of wanting to avoid, which was to change all our tool specs to call, but that was when it was our call. Now this is the Ruby LLM's call. And in some ways, we should have been calling that all along in our specs instead of the execute directly.
Okay.
Let's try going over to, so we do, I'm not 100% sure of that. So let's go over here and change this spec to call for this tool
Okay.
and make sure the spec still passes. Okay. So it still
Okay.
passes.
Can we do something in run specs tool to break it? More like within the actual tool itself.
Within the tool itself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, you mean so that we get an exception?
Yeah.
Oh, we can just make it raise.
Yep.
Oh no. Cool. Test doesn't check the output of the tool. It
Okay.
just makes the commands being run. So the command didn't run because of the raise.
I was kind of hoping we would like see something, but
See what?
I don't know. I'm deep in my head right now trying to decide if what we have is going to cover all the things and set us up for the future, but maybe we make the let's
So
make all the
the thing
changes.
I'll remind you of is there was no examples of how to write specs for tools.
Okay.
We investigated the
Ah,
tool implementation and wrote the first spec.
okay.
And so I just came up with calling execute. We probably should have been being calling call the whole time
Okay, cool. So
because call is what's actually being called to call tools.
we
Execute
need
is
to
just our implementation of the guts of the tool. So it wouldn't catch if we were setting up the arguments wrong in our execute method that they match the call.
because that's what Ruby LLM's implementation does.
Mhm.
Ah, okay. So this is actually even a net positive on that front as well.
I think so, yeah.
We could test this because what if we okay, so just for fun, if you make this tool execute but pass it some extra strings, um, and it's not raising, then the test should pass. And what we want to then see is if we call tool call that with extra parameters, it fails.
Yeah, but our execute. Oh yeah, okay. So execute then. So this does not match the params that are set up on our tool and what we're telling the LLM to take.
Yes. Okay.
So now if we're over here and we say extra, and then, yeah, it's gonna, you can't have a hash leading. So that works.
And now if we change it to call, hopefully it fails.
Right.
Although we have our rescue, so will it be... No, cool.
Yeah. So I didn't. What's happening now is we're getting an argument error because our arguments don't match the params that were set up. So if we print that out in the spec, we should see argument error. Wrong number of arguments given to expected one.
Okay.
Oops.
So then as I see it, this is all really, really positive.
We got there eventually.
And now our tests will actually be better coverage because they'll be also...
They'll
by
be going
calling...
to the same path that
Yeah.
tool calls
Yep.
actually go through.
Nice.
So we have the call with super. We're handling the error, any error that happens.
Just a quick check on that one. If you change tool call on our wherever we have it defined to be args instead of ... will it accept an empty?
You mean change this to be args?
Yeah, it's one of those things that I
actually think super will take any.
I think super will as well. I was wondering if we could just do tool call without the braces passed. I'm reaching here
We
just
need
for
to
a little
pass
bit of
something
aesthetics.
in. Call takes.
Call always takes at least one arg. Okay. Okay, then you can go back to the ... That's fine.
All of our tools take arguments. So this fake tool here is the, I believe.
Always. Yeah. No, this is good. Yeah, let's keep going.
Commit changes actually doesn't. Oh no, it takes the app ID and the message. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so let's commit this and then we'll change our other tools.
That sounds good.
Okay, introduce tool call with error handling. So we can change the specs, but I think we should add what's your we should probably have a spec on each tool for the error handling. No?
To just like prove that it's there kind of thing?
Yeah, unless that's not important.
I feel like... Go ahead.
It would be if someone like descended from Ruby LLM tool instead of tool.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that's a good... I like that. And at least then, right, it's a pattern that you will see. So I don't know, let's put it after maybe the sort of the default has a description, defines params, all that stuff.
Sorry, I was looking at Rodrigo's messages in the chat. Thanks, Rodrigo, for the help. Thank you. Sorry, Lewis, what were you saying?
I think let's back up a little bit. What exactly what exactly have we committed so far?
we committed just the change to introduce the call method that has the error handler on tools
Okay.
and the spec for that.
Okay. So just the
And
base, our base tool class and the new spec for our base tool class.
we
Okay,
did
cool.
also, I believe, yeah, I had also left this change to call.
Okay. Um, I think our next step is, yeah, let's do the test that you suggested, which is it handles errors or it handles, and I was gonna say, like, let's just put it after the default test somewhere towards the bottom of the other tests.
Okay. Now we could introduce a shared example here, but
I kind of like that.
you do.
I think so. I've seen shared examples on other on others like on other apps. Sometimes it's helpful. Sometimes you're like, where's that happening? But why don't we try it out and see what it would feel like?
Okay, then I would always want to put that at the top.
Okay, sure. That makes sense.
Just then it's just super obvious that you've got
Yes,
those
yes.
extra specs there. Now I got to remember how to make a shared example off the top of my head.
I'm gonna
Um,
go look.
no,
And
yeah, here we go. We can actually take.
okay.
So, as I was typing that, it occurred to me that this spec doesn't know the arguments of the. But I don't think that that matters. But it does mean that we're going to get invalid tool arguments as the error.
Unless, oh, I see.
I think that's actually when it comes to this spec and the error handling. It's actually a pretty decent way of doing it.
We're gonna do like a start. Yeah, okay.
It's not match, I don't think.
Or if it is matched, then you need the little regex markers. Like match with a forward slash and a backslash and a forward slash. Yeah.
Expected error invalid to match invalid tool arguments. Oh. It's a hash. Where's that coming from?
Yeah, that's just for
Uh,
sure. Oh, I see.
it's
Yes, yes, yes.
it's happening here.
Okay.
So that's a problem because it's not actually testing the exception catching, because that's an actual return of a hash.
So does this mean that shared example is not going to be our best friend here because every tool's going to have different arguments?
Yeah, and you can pass in arguments to a shared example, but that would get really weird, I think, in this case.
Okay. So we'll just do it as a pattern in every test.
Or we could just
In
not.
every All right, so again, like to your point, what we're covering is that someone creates a new tool, and instead of deriving from our tool,
Mhm.
they derive from um, they derive from Ruby LLM's tool. So, is there uh, an RSpec matcher that talks about like, is there like a one-liner test for this?
So we could check for that. So it would be like it behaves like uh, a ready set go tool,
Sure. Okay.
and then go. I'm closing some tabs here. I must have closed the what did I call it? Error handling tool. Here we go. Inherits from tool. So that's what that would look like.
Object identity.
Mhm. No, it's what is the I don't know off the top of my head what the
Yeah, I am looking. Oh, is it just be a instead of be a kind of?
but I don't know if that
I'll be kind of.
I don't know if that checks the inheritance tree. See, it's because it's run spec tool.
Oh, I see.
That's checking the class. Um, there's a way
Uh,
to
is it this? Can you grab the superclass, or is that
yeah.
a little fragile?
Do you know how to do that?
Not offhand. I have to play around in the Rails console.
Superclass. Eric says it's just superclass.
All right.
Okay. So I'm not I'm
And
not
that's
sure how I feel about this spec.
I'm not either. And also, I know that this is going to be a problem when we reintroduce our review required and review optional tools, because now our tools are going to be like 2 levels deep to tool.
Right. And inherently, the reviewer tool is a whole nother thing that, okay. I think we need to just rely on, I think we're overcomplicating it.
That's
That's my
fair.
take.
I mean, so the risk that we're trying to prevent, like again, just to like spell it out, is
Mhm.
someone creates a new tool, we write beautiful specs for it, it works great, it starts dying in in production as we're using it, something about it fails, and that failure cannot be something we did. It could be like uh, an exception in the chat, like
Mhm.
an Anthropic API is down or feeling flaky, and now the whole job that it was doing is stopped because that one job is no longer rescued. So we could mitigate that by having a pattern in every other test file that has a this tool rescues errors. Um, and then at least someone following would be more likely of following the pattern. This is a little more guaranteed that we never inherit directly from Ruby LLM tool.
I think the like let's if we Rails G Ruby LLM tool.
Sure, good idea.
See, that's why I was originally concerned. Like, so because we're using the generator to generate
Right,
tools.
right,
So you need to know to
right.
do that. You also
And so
need to
now
know that when you write the specs to put the shared example there.
that's fair. Okay, wait. Okay, there's another way to this. There is, or at least there was, in the CLI, a test that said when the chat happens, it has all these tools. And I seem to remember when we did our migration, we had that too, right? Do you know
Mhm.
the one I'm talking about? Like if you search for, I don't know, read skill tool or run bundle install tool, I think we'll find that test because it's like an array match. It's not this actual spec, it's the spec that includes the words bundle and run bundle install tool. Does that make sense? So if you like search for that in the yeah. Yeah, this one. Cool.
So
So
that's not
grab
a
that.
spec.
No,
That's
no, no.
the actual
Oh,
code.
oh, sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is it then just is it the chat tool?
Oh, it's
Ah, yeah. Oh, sorry. It's the one with underscores. Yeah,
but that it
nice.
didn't find that. Here it is.
Uh, oh, it's just run bundle
So I
install.
like
Okay, cool.
Eric's suggestion in the chat. Um, that it feels like a linter or a single test that makes sure all tools defined in app tools tool have tool in the ancestors list.
Exactly. And so here, where we have this list, and we're saying we expect the list that when the LLM receives a message, it has all these are all the tools that it knows to use.
Mhm.
That this list of known tools is checked for inheritance, like Eric is saying. Because that way, if someone creates a new tool, and let's say they use the generator and don't know, that's fine.
Mhm.
If they don't define it, it's not if they don't define it to the chat, then the chat won't use it. The moment they define it to the chat, then this test fails first and they're like, "Oh yeah, I need to include test tool in this list so that this test passes.
Hmm.
And then the moment they do that, the next test that fails is, oh, now test tool, it doesn't have the right inheritance tree.
Yep.
So we could extract this list of this contain exactly little block. We could extract that array into like known tools in this describe. And
Hmm.
so this test stays what it is, but now it uses the shorthand. And then we have a second test, all defined tools inherit from the right place.
Hmm. Okay. I love it. Shall we wrap up?
Yeah, it's hard to believe time has really flown today. It's good to know that we got to everything we planned to and more.
Yes. And thank you all for the activity in the chat. It was actually really helpful. And I think we landed in a spot where that can be resilient without being tedious. Thank you for watching. Thank you for helping. As always, if you are looking for help with an existing application or want to create something new, get in touch with us at thoughtbot.com. We will be back next week. I anticipate that we're going to make pretty significant process on the functionality between now and next week. So it's a little hard to predict what we'll be doing on the stream next week, but I would like to spend time, be in a position where maybe we're spending time on like polishing the interactions and the UI and stuff like that. What do you
Sounds
think?
great.
Okay.
I love it.
So we'll see you next week with that or maybe something else. But until then, thanks for watching.